The reason for this video is actually pretty simple. I was kind of tired the whole day, and once I made a little bit of a nap in the middle of the day, I was bored out of my mind, actually so bored that I finally did something that I didn't get to do for like 2 or maybe even 3 years. Clean my room. Now, before I'm gonna show you the room and make a setup tour, which a few people have been asking for, I'm gonna have to make one thing clear. When I say I cleaned it up, that is for my standards, because most people still say, wow, what a mess, and oh man, and how can you work in that space? Well, like I said, for me, that is actually the cleanest it has been for years. So what I'm gonna do in this video, I'm gonna show you the room that I'm doing my stuff in. I'm gonna show you the gear, besides the one that I'm using here, which is my Fuji X-T3. And well, then you know. But I can already tell you this, it won't be anything spectacular. And I know last time, like 3 years ago, when I did a setup tour, I said it's a kind of cheap budget kind of setup. I mean, it's not that cheap, and people told me that it's kind of gear that they would wish to have. Like, I mean, yeah, by now the standards have been raised, but it's still not spectacular, if you get what I mean. So let me actually start off the room once again at the place where not a lot of stuff happens. So this is actually the place where I usually had my printer. I took that away. I still have to kind of make something useful out of the space, but this is somewhere where I usually can't even get to, because as you can see here, there is already the rooftop. Then my camera usually sits on this here. Here there is an LED light, and there is not a whole lot of space to get something done here. So it was a little bit too bad, too annoying for me to have the printer here, so I moved that to this place. So now I have easy access to my printer, which I pretty much only need for the shipping labels to send stuff back. Now, you've maybe already seen it. Here is a monitor, and you might ask yourself, what is that for? Because it's not part of the actual PC setup. It's actually quite easy. Once I got, let's actually move around, my iPad, as you can see here, my iPad Pro, that supports USB-C, that supports HDMI. I wanted to use the pen a lot at the beginning, and then when I used that and made all my notes, but that's pretty much something that I only use for my headphone reviews, then I just take that and have all my notes visible, because as you can see, the camera actually is pretty much right above it. Otherwise, this thing doesn't have any purpose. So that's the thing, and it is super useful, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to kind of keep those headphone reviews as short as they are by now with the amount of details, because I still wouldn't call them short, because the last one that I made yesterday was like 18 minutes long. So not that compact, but it is very detail packed in my opinion, and that kind of keeps me on track and very consistent. Because if you've maybe seen it, for example, and it's on German, but it doesn't matter. So I have, for example, the casing and so on, what's the packaging and so on, then different things like the controls, the codecs, soundstage, and all those kind of things. So that keeps me on track. So I always cover the same things about every headphone, because for me, consistency between reviews is super important. And well, you can see that with the setup, because I pretty much only have that one. Now here I have something on top, a lot of other stuff that I don't really use. That's pretty much just so I can store up some stuff. I actually have a lot more in that room here, but I'm not going to show that because it's a complete mess. Now this is something that was supposed to be a second kind of workstation where I would maybe test PCs or PC parts, monitors and so, but it didn't really work out, because as you can see, here is my kind of graveyard of keyboards that I've reviewed and some other stuff that I usually just put on there. So yeah, but believe me, I cleaned up a lot. Here in the back we can see a little bit of some acoustic foam that I have to admit is just bad, and that's why I didn't use it, because that's the cheap stuff. The good stuff is on top and the bad stuff is on the bottom. Here I have the usual typical shirts that I usually have in every video, so I just switch them around, but I kind of would have to replace them at some point. Then let's get around this one here. Here is the part that you usually see in the videos. Let's actually take my chair out of the way. So I'm not gonna go into all the details what's here, but as you can see, some boxes and so on, the headphones that you usually see, my, maybe you can see it, I got my 100,000 subscriber plaque like a week ago. Few more boxes, nothing spectacular. Here is one part of the setup that I haven't used for years, which is the Magni, I think. No, it's the, what is it? Yeah, it's the Magni 2. But since I don't have a deck anymore, I don't use that since it's an amp. Here is my headphone amp, as you can see, the Audio GD NFB 1128. I am thinking about maybe replacing it with something even better. And there at the bottom you can see the Focusrite Scarlett 6i6 that I use for my microphone. Now this is the Sound Blaster G6 that I reviewed recently. That is one thing that I use at the moment as kind of a more common solution to check headphones that I know what people can usually expect out of it. Here I have an USB hub. I actually have like 2 or 3 more here. So, I mean, let's quickly check one thing at the bottom. Yes, maybe you've seen that already. I know this looks like a mess, and I'm not gonna disagree with you that it is one. But it's the best I can do, because I usually move those things around a little bit, sometimes make new ones, and that's why I can't do it any other way. Now these are still the 3 monitors that I bought like after 1 year of YouTube, my triple monitor setup. Dell U2515Hs, so 25-inch Quad HD monitors, love them. I have them for like 5 years already by now, and they do still an absolutely amazing job. Then the JBL, I don't really know how they are called actually, but those were pretty cheap, like $30. And the main reason why I have them, you can maybe see them, I don't have more space below the monitors, and above them I can't really place them. Here's some more acoustic foam, whereas actually something at the top as well, something on the walls. And this is actually just a failed experiment, because that was supposed to be more foam, but the glue didn't stick, and I just did not use that after all. Now, what else? My Xbox controller that I use with the dongle for playing games. My Logitech G Pro. What is it actually called? Yeah, the Pro, the wireless. Underneath there is my what is it? Whoa, I just forgot that name. I actually don't. The Lancet. I used that one before I had the G Pro. Then there is my, maybe you can see it. That's actually still sometimes active. My Razer. Whoa, what's it called? Well, the one with the membrane, with the mechanical switches. Actually love that one, but I can't remember the name. And here's the one that I mostly use at the moment, actually for quite a while now already, the HyperX Alloy RGB something. Then here is one super crucial thing for me, but I haven't found a better solution, and I'm not paying for the Elgato Scream Deck, because what I do with this one is actually control OBS, where I record my videos with and switch through the cameras and so on. But what I have to do is, because this is not a layout that I can use without actually touching something, so what I use is auto hotkey, rearrange those keys, and just for the video. That's something that I would like to have replaced with a Scream Deck, but I'm not gonna pay just for that. Then this monitor, that is the one that I actually use as my preview window. So whatever I'm recording, I see on this one. It's also Quad HD. It's actually a pretty cheap one from HKC. Got that one from GearBest without actually ever reviewing, which I should have done actually. Then here we can see one LED light. The other ones though are, as you can see, actually pretty cheap soft boxes. So that's one with 1 bulb. Those are with 4, like the other ones. And I gotta say, that's actually my biggest issue here is the lighting, because I could have so much nicer lighting if I would use my LED lights, but that would only work if I would record me. But since you maybe already saw it, I also use a camera above me to record the devices here. And therefore, I need also good lighting here. So not just from the front, but also here. But I also can't have lighting from behind, because what I had for a while, and also this, for example, as reflection, but that's not a real good solution. But whenever I had lights behind me, you had so much reflections on those displays, especially when I reviewed monitor, laptops and such, that it just wasn't an option. So as you can see, yeah. That was me just stumbling over this. So as you can see, all my lights are actually still in front of me, because there is just no other way. Now this camera, this is just my still 1080p camera, the Sony a6000 Was pretty cheap back then. I still love it actually. Quality is great. I would wish for it to have 4K, but since I usually record in 60 frames, that wouldn't have been an option anyways. There I also have an LED light that I used a while ago, but don't really need so much. What I did then here, as you can see with the mount, this is an actual tripod mount, and so a little bit movable and such, but it was on a tripod that I actually don't really use. And yeah, mess again with some wires, the cables, power outlets and such. I mean, you don't really see that. I don't really ever get to that place, so I don't really bother. I'm actually happy with that system, and this would be my kind of my gem. I really love this one. Actually, some gadget guy. Oh, I haven't actually seen there is a 0 and -20 dB switch that I have actually no idea what it's turned on to. I would actually maybe have to check that. I never even saw that. That is the AKG C214. Some gadget guy, Juan Bagnell, recommended it to me because what I used before was the Rode NT-USB. You've seen that usually quite a few times in my videos, and I loved that until I just wanted something that has a better or lower noise floor. Let's actually turn this off. We don't need that. And that's for the sound. Now, the one thing, as you can see here, it uses the kind of typical stand, but unfortunately I can't get any lower. Not just because this is the deepest point that I can get to with it, but also because if I would go any lower with the camera, you would see this part. So yeah, there are limits to pretty much everything, and I just noticed that the video is 18 minutes long, which means this is way too long for an unorganized setup tour. Because the thing is just that usually people make nice setup tours, but I always try to keep it casual, real, and just the way that I usually do them. Because if I don't do scripted, and therefore it just turns out as a rambling. So this was a rambling setup tour, if you want to call it like that. But if we look at the main part that I'm working with is obviously the monitors here with that setup. This is what you usually look at from a little bit of a different angle, obviously. And yeah, like I said, nothing spectacular. And I'm actually pretty happy that I have so much space here still left, especially since I cleaned it up now. Because usually I was tripping here all over. Usually I couldn't get to the monitor easily, to the printer. So those are things that I finally got rid of. And yeah, I can't say it on a way. This is fine. Now obviously I would wish for a little bit more flexibility with the setup. And I once actually made a video where I said that I would kind of rearrange everything. But I actually did not do that, because when I made this whole thing, I thought about how I would do things. And the only way so I can save space is use the lighting here to have easy access to this part here. Because if I would, the first time that I had it around, it was the whole thing around, and the lights were every time in my way when I came into the room. So there is not a real difference or a possible change here. What I would have liked to have done is not having this desk here. So I could use maybe one thing that you've maybe seen, but I've never used, which is my Elgato green screen here. I bought it, I think I used it in 2 or 3 videos, and it was pretty much a waste of money. But you would usually see this in the way, so therefore I can't use the green screen, and also not the thing that I wanted to use, like, I don't know what's called, those curtains that you usually use behind you, like, not a curtain, but yeah. So, now you know, you can make the math if you wanted to know how much money I spent on the gear. Actually, one thing that you even didn't see is the PC. And in case you think, wait, there is no side, there is no front, and there's actually no back that you haven't seen. Yes, true. Because I can't close the back because my cable management was so bad. I also, if we go a little bit closer, could open, I could close the front, but the side, but usually I just recently switched out the water cooler since the old one was broken. And the front, well, yeah, because of the changed water cooler. In case you want to know what's there, what's in there, it's a Threadripper 1950X, then the MSI, that's still a 1070, so GTX, then the AverMedia, that's the one I use for 4K, which actually works with 4K. Above that, there is the Elgato HD60 Pro for my second camera. I have a 4K 60, but that simply can't actually use 4K, not at least from the Fuji. The card just doesn't do it. And then I have, I think, one NVMe, the 960 Evo, and 2 half gig normal SATA SSDs. So no hard drives here. This thing is pretty much silent, but since recently, I don't know why, there is a little bit of some noise visible. But yeah, that was it. You can make the math and know how much I spent. Like I said, by now it's definitely not cheap, but if you think about, that's an investment that I made over as a thing as a whole over the last 6 years. I mean, for example, I have one more camera lying around here, the Panasonic G7 that I used for a long while. Then I somewhere have my very first camcorder. Then I have here one more. I should actually sell these, but I'm just pretty lazy when it comes to that. So yeah, that was it. Anything longer, it would be too boring for you to watch it, so bye.